Okay, so you've given us some pretty intense material for this deep dive. It's something really personal, right? I mean, we're talking about this energy, this drive that we usually call, sexual desire.
Yeah.
But, and here's the interesting part, the source doesn't treat it like, oh, this is a bad thing you got to get rid of, but more like, hey, this is powerful stuff. This is energy that's got like huge potential, and we can learn to work with it. Transmute it, I think is the word they use.
Yeah, definitely. It's not about like fighting some kind of inner demon or anything. It's about, recognizing how potent this energy is. And then, like you said, it's about learning how to aim it at something more meaningful. It's about inner
Mm.
freedom, deeper joy, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. And the source actually quotes Yogananda on this. He's got this great image of our emotions being like rocket fuel, right? But the way things are set up right now, well, that rocket fuel tends to kind of shoot downwards. So what we want to do in this deep dive is really like unpack all of that, explore the main ideas the source lays out, and see what we can learn from it. What kind of practical takeaways can we actually use in our own lives?
Yeah, and what really struck me right off the bat is this idea that the energy itself, it's neutral. There's a line in the source that says, do not think of your sexual desire as a particular kind of energy. It is just energy. And that kind of changes the whole game. It's not good or bad. It's just like raw potential.
I like that. And the source kind of takes it a step further, right?
Yeah.
Because it suggests that the way this energy typically flows, towards the sex organs, that it's not like hardwired into us, it's not pure biology,
Mm.
it's more a result of habit and conditioning.
Yeah, it's like a path in the woods. The more you walk it, the more worn down it gets, the easier it becomes to follow.
Right, perfect analogy. But of course, if it's a path we've created through habit, then we can like start to make new paths. And the source actually gives us some pretty specific tools for that. Like you said, it's not about just trying to shut this energy down. It's about transmuting it, right? Redirecting it.
Exactly. And the first thing it mentions is exercise. And you might think, well, what does working out have to do with all of this? But the source is really clear. It says exercise. Exercise will free blocked energy. It's pretty direct.
Yeah, when you think about the body as like an energetic system, I can see how that makes sense. Physical activity is like shaking things loose. You're freeing up that energy so it can, move, be directed.
Exactly, instead of just getting stuck. And the source makes another really practical connection. It talks about diet and specifically about maintaining a diet that supports regular, elimination.
Right. So it actually gives like a physiological reason for this. It says a constipated bowel. A constipated bowel irritates and stimulates the sex nerves.
Yeah, and I think at this point just highlights how interconnected everything is. The way our bodies function, the way our energy flows, it's all related.
Okay, then we get to a piece of advice that, I mean, in the world we live in, it's both like duh, of course,
Yeah.
but also a bit of a challenge. The source says to avoid, all the sexually suggestive stuff, magazines, movies, websites, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's about those external inputs, right? All that stuff that just keeps reinforcing those pathways we were talking about, those habitual ways of directing our energy.
Right. It's like we're constantly bombarded with triggers.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe not so easy to avoid. But okay, moving on. The source then talks about developing a devotional practice, incorporating chanting, prayer, that kind of thing. And the idea here, it says, is to awaken the heart's love for God with great determination.
Yeah, so here we see the source introducing a spiritual element. It's about connecting with something bigger than ourselves, cultivating feelings of love and devotion, and that, according to the source, can really help us to raise our energetic vibration.
Right. It's that rocket fuel analogy again, but this time we're aiming it upwards. And speaking of specific practices, the source actually mentions Kriya Yoga. It describes it as a practice that draws energy directly up the spine into the brain, away from the
Nice.
sex organs, and toward the spiritual eye.
Yeah, Kriya Yoga is like a specific technology, right? It's a set of practices designed to actually influence the flow of energy in the body.
Interesting. Okay, so beyond those particular practices, this source also talks about something really crucial.
Yeah.
Mindset. It
Yeah.
emphasizes like over and over the importance of patience and self-compassion, which I mean makes sense, right? Because any kind of real change, personal growth, it takes time, and it's going to have its ups and downs.
Absolutely. The source is really clear that this isn't going to be some straightforward linear thing. You're going to make progress. You're going to have setbacks. That's just how it goes. The key is to to keep going, keep practicing, and to be kind to yourself along the way.
Yeah, and there's this line that I found really helpful. It says that experiencing sexual desire or even, acting on it doesn't mean you're not spiritual. It's about the overall intention, the commitment to this process of transformation.
Mm.
And the Course really emphasizes that the end goal, you could say, is an inner joy that is far sweeter and far
Hmm.
more lasting than anything you can experience through the senses.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful idea, right? It's not about denying pleasure. It's about discovering a deeper, more lasting kind of happiness.
Okay, so we've talked about the energy itself, some basic practices, the right mindset, and now the Source kind of widens things out even more. It talks about how all sorts of different cultures and spiritual traditions have dealt with this idea of transforming sexual energy, and it actually lists 10 distinct approaches. So let's dive into a few of those, shall we?
So, let's do that.
Okay, so the first one is meditation and mindfulness. And what I found interesting here is the emphasis on developing awareness, just observing your body and your energy without judgment. And the Source talks about focusing on your breath and even visualizing that energy moving upwards through your body.
Yeah, it's about being present, right? And about consciously directing your attention. And then kind of building on that, the source talks about breath work, using specific breathing techniques to channel that energy, like inhaling while visualizing the energy moving up the spine and exhaling while releasing tension.
Right. So again, it's about taking control,
Yeah.
being proactive. And then we get to Tantra. Now, this is a whole world in itself, right? But basically, the Source describes it as a tradition that emphasizes the deep connection between sexual energy and spirituality.
Yeah, and there are lots of different schools of tantra, but a lot of them focus on how to um, how to harness that energy for deeper intimacy, with yourself and with a partner, and ultimately for spiritual awakening.
Right. Okay, so moving on, the Source also mentions chakra work, specifically working with the sacral chakra, which is often associated with sexuality and creativity,
Mm-hmm.
and the crown chakra, which is all about, spiritual connection. And there are different practices you can do here, visualization, affirmations, yoga postures, all aimed at balancing the energy between these two chakras.
Yeah, so the chakra system is like a map of the body's energy centers. And by working with specific chakras, we can influence the flow of energy, between different aspects of ourselves.
I like that. Okay, the next one is creative expression. And this one I find really intriguing. The idea here is to channel that raw sexual energy into art, music, writing, whatever your creative outlet is.
Yeah, it's a way of taking the energy and transforming it into something tangible, something beautiful, something you can share with the world.
Exactly. And then there's physical movement. This could be dance, certain kinds of yoga, anything that allows you to move that energy through your body, express it physically.
Yeah, and I think with movement, it's less about consciously directing the energy and more about just letting it flow, letting it integrate.
Right. Okay, the Source also talks about connection with nature. And this is about grounding yourself, connecting with the Earth's energy, and using that to, balance your own energy.
Yeah, nature has this amazing ability to kind of soothe us, calm us, bring us back into balance. It's like tapping into this larger, more harmonious energy field.
I feel that. Okay, there's also rituals and ceremonies. And this could be anything, right? It's about creating your own personal practices that honor both your sexuality and your spirituality.
Yeah, rituals can be really powerful. They help us to set intentions, to create a container, you could say, for transformation.
Then there's cultivating love and compassion. And this is about shifting the focus of your energy away from just your own personal desires and needs and towards, genuine connection with others.
Yeah, it's about expanding your heart, and letting that energy flow outwards. And then finally, the source mentions study and learning.
Right. So the idea here is that the more we understand about sexuality, about spirituality, about these energies, the better equipped we'll be to actually work with them.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
So that's a whole lot of different approaches. And as the source points out, it's really a personal journey. What works for one person might not work for another. The important thing is to stay open, to experiment, and to find what resonates with you.
Yeah, and I think what's so powerful about all of this is that it really flips the script. This energy, this sexual desire, it's not something to be afraid of or ashamed of. It's a powerful force that we can learn to work with, to transform, to use for our own growth and for the benefit of others.
Exactly. It's not about suppression. It's about evolution.
Yeah.
And for you, our listener, if you're on a path of self-discovery, personal growth, all of this is just like more fuel for the fire.
Yeah.
It's about deepening your understanding of yourself and discovering new possibilities.
And on that note, maybe we'll leave you with a question to ponder. Of all these different approaches to energy transmutation, is there one that kind of sparks your curiosity, something you might be willing to, gently experiment with in your own life?
Yeah, no pressure, just a little something to play with.
Exactly. Who knows what you might discover?